What's up, guys, and welcome to SeaWorld Orlando. Today we are actually going to be doing a follow-up video to my original SeaWorld COVID-19 video. So we're going to be checking out what they've done or what they haven't done since June when the park reopened. So they've made some changes, done some stuff differently, and we're going to go over all that stuff. We're also going to show you guys what rides are open. There's much more stuff to do here now than when it initially opened. They've actually started reopening things, so should be a pretty cool day. Crowd levels were pretty busy, as you guys can see, so let's get into it.
Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Guys, thanks for hitting that subscribe button for me. It really does help me out. So as you guys can see here in this picture, there's not a lot of social distancing going on as you're entering the park. You're kind of going through these like turnstiles up until you get to temperature check, and people are stacked in there pretty tightly. We also had some issues in security. I'm actually going to show you that right now. It was a little weird. Just so we're clear, when I tell people I have camera gear, it's not so they don't search my bag.
They literally don't search your bag. If you say there's camera gear, they do not search it.
That's insane. So as you guys can see here, as we're actually walking up to security, you'll see that they did not have any of the hand sanitizing stations that they had there previously. We thought that was a little bit weird because you just went through somewhere where you were kind of tightly
nice. Any guests not wearing a face covering will be asked to
would be a
leave the
good place to put hand sanitizer stations. But for some reason, they decided it was a good idea to get rid of them.
They're not directing people into these lines anymore either. Remember they used to tell you a number? There you go, right here, right here.
Alright guys, so this is where the security portion of this gets a little weird. So actually you're going to see Nicole go through the metal detector first. She goes through with our stroller. She also has camera gear on her and her purse, and she goes right through the metal detector and nothing goes off. Then I go through the metal detector. I'm holding a camera. I have a camera on my chest and my camera bag with me, and I go right through. They did ask me to go over to the table to have my bag checked, and this is where it gets weird.
Yep. Hello. There's a lot of camera gear in there.
Lots of cameras.
Cameras.
So after telling them that I had cameras in my bag, and yes, I do this every time, and it's just to let them know that there's expensive gear in there, and just be careful because I've had people just whip the bag open and stuff come flying out. They handed me my bag back without looking in it whatsoever and said, "Have a nice day."
Just stay right
Now, once we did make it into the park, we did find something out that was pretty interesting that you guys may want to know. So all these people that are standing in line, they are waiting to get their tickets. Now, there's kiosks on the left and to the right. Those lines were actually very long also. Now, one thing to know is if you go online and you purchase your tickets and you actually have the paper printout with the barcode on it, you don't need to wait at these kiosks. Some parks make you do that, but SeaWorld will actually let you into the park just with that printed out ticket, and then you can move on to a kiosk somewhere in the park that's much less crowded and get that ticket printed out. That way you're not wasting a bunch of time up here in the front because the lines were pretty long. As you guys can see here, they are still doing the trick-or-treating event, so we decided to check that out too, and the crowd levels were enormous for that. You can see that there are kids everywhere, there are people everywhere. Social distancing not being held up there, and I believe this is due to limited staff, so there was not a lot of staff at this park when we were there. I did do a video on the trick-or-treating event in case you guys want to check that out. I will leave a link to that in the description for you. One of the biggest changes that we've noticed is a lot of the kids' rides that were closed previously are now opening, including some of the kids' roller coasters and the water play area, which we're going to check out.
And a 35 capacity.
So every kid that goes in gets 10 minutes?
That's what she said.
Guys, we're also noticing that on the weekends, and actually closer to the end of this month when they're going to be doing the Christmas celebration, the park hours are actually being extended. So instead of like that 5 o'clock time, we're actually seeing park hours into the 9 o'clock area, which is beautiful. I can't wait to get back to normal. Now we're going to be taking a look at this list, and it's going to give you all the available attractions. So this list is much bigger than it was when this first started back in June when they actually first opened. So like Journey to Atlantis is back open. The Empire of the Penguin, the ride is not open, but the habitat actually is open. I asked some cast members, they said that ride is not going to open until probably into 2021. All the roller coasters were open. You'll see that on this list, some of the roller coasters are only open on the weekends. Wild Arctic is still closed. The actual ride, the habitat is open, so you can go in there and check out the animals. Most of Sesame Street was open, like the actual land and all the stuff in the land. Like I showed you guys, the water area. The kids' play area, however, is not open in Sesame Street land, and a lot of the character meet and greets are not going on as well. So one cool thing that we noticed while we were at the park is that all of the ride signs have these sensory guides on them. And these are for children with autism. So if you have a child with autism, check these out. It's going to help you out. So if they don't do well with like sound or sight, this is going to tell you how much sound or sight is going to be on that particular attraction. And that should give you a pretty good idea on whether or not your child is going to be okay on that attraction or not. We thought this was a great idea. Bravo, SeaWorld. Good job.
And this is where they drop us. They're gonna
I'm closing my eyes and I'm not going.
Of course, we had to check out one of my son's favorite rides, Infinity Falls. Be aware, guys, you have a pretty good shot of getting wet on this ride. So just know that before you go in. And also, I did a full review ride along POV video of this ride. So if you want to see the whole ride before you actually get on it, I'll leave a link to that right here. So with Sesame Street Land being open, guys, like I said, most of the kids' rides were in fact up and running and going, which is a great thing, especially if you have little kids. So before, when we were over there in June, there was hardly anything for my son to do. Most of the rides that he wanted to go on were closed. So this is a great change to see. So if you guys have kids, this makes this park much more enjoyable. Also, if your kids are a little more daring and into that thrill ride a little more, Journey to Atlantis is actually open now, and it was not open back then, so that is great also. While we were there, guys, we did spot people out on the water on the flamingo boats. This is something that I'm not really into. Just paddling around in a circle in a lake is not for me, but they are open if that's something that you're into. I did want to note real quick that the trick-or-treat is going on for one more weekend through November 1st, so if you guys have a chance, check it out. It is pretty cool. I did a whole video on it. And while we were out around the park, we did want to check out the Icebreaker, which is SeaWorld's up-and-coming new roller coaster. Now, things have been pushed back all because of COVID, but this thing is pretty much done. The last 3 times I was there, however, I didn't see anybody working on any queue lines or trees or anything, and I think SeaWorld is getting further behind the other parks in their new builds with Iron Gwazi and the Velocicoaster coming. So hopefully SeaWorld will step it up and get this thing done, so we can have 3 great roller coasters coming in 2021. I am very excited. So now I thought I'd go over how I think the parks are actually doing as a whole as far as the COVID-19 protocols go. So I've said it in many videos before, I think Universal Studios is doing the best job. They have a very good plan in place, and they are following that plan to a T. Some of the other parks are not doing that, and that's why I want to do this video on SeaWorld. So to show you guys, I mean, there's definitely social distancing not happening at SeaWorld. The hand sanitizer pumps at SeaWorld, I don't personally like them. You actually have to put your hand on them and touch them. So if somebody before you was sick with something, now you basically have to touch that hand sanitizer to sanitize your hands. All the other parks are going to like a foot style or touchless station, which is a great idea. Universal is the only park that I have been to that before you get on a ride vehicle, any ride vehicle, they actually put hand sanitizer in your hand. It's a small dab, and you just, wipe it in like you normally do hand sanitizer. But that means that anybody that gets on a ride vehicle at least has had that. So I know it's small and minuscule, but no other park is doing it, and I think it is a good step, especially for keeping a clean park and a less sick park. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep people from being sick and having to shut these parks down again. So all the people that are social distancing and all the people that are wearing their mask and doing all the stuff you're supposed to do, I really do appreciate it, because without people like you, we're going to have another shutdown, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants to be stuck at home, not being able to go out to these theme parks. All the people that work at these theme parks are glad to be back at work, and the more we do, the more people that the parks can rehire, and we'll be even more safe, because right now a lot of the parks are kind of low staffed, and that's why some of them are having trouble with the COVID-19 protocols. And as they get busier, they'll be able to staff the parks better, and we can move on to a much safer and better experience. So I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me during this video. Thank you again for hitting that subscribe button. Like I said, you don't know how much it means to me when you guys hit that subscribe button, and it's going to help me get to my goal of hitting 1,000 subscribers this year. So thank you again, and hopefully you guys will check out some of my other stuff.